It's Cash Color Campus, a high level of conversation on livehip-hop-daily.tv. This episode is sponsored by Atlantis Clothing. Our drug lord, Atlantis, and Return to the Viper lines are all available for sale at our website, atlantisclothing.com. So head to atlantis.com and shop today. As well as Carpe Diem Medibles. Every Friday they release a new menu full of infused delights. Follow them now and place your order. All right, so without further ado, I got a special guest in the building. Hey, Dr. Hang.
Hey, how are you?
I'm cooling. I'm cooling. You actually called me at the exact right time. I mean, you see, I'm trying to multitask by interviewing you and watching to see if the Celtics can pull this win off. But I'm gonna focus on this interview.
Okay.
I'm focused on this interview. I can tell by the energy around me what's about to happen. So I've had a chance to know you like through the cannabis scene that's out here in Atlanta, the growing cannabis scene for a little while now, at least for the last year and a half. But this is the first time I've actually had you on the show. So for those who don't know, can you please state your name and just tell us who you are?
Dr. April Hang. I am an independent pharmacy owner. I own 3 pharmacies, Total Food and Pharmacy, Total Pharmacy Plus, and Peachtree Pharmacy.
Yep.
And I also advocate for medical cannabis.
Okay. So I know a little bit about your background. I know you have a science background, especially when it comes to your education. Speak to us about, I guess, when you fell in love with science. Like, was that something you was you that nerd when you was a kid? And you
I was that nerd. I was, everyone wanted to copy off me. So I started hustling when I was in elementary school. Like, oh, you want to copy off me? You got to pay me in candy. You got to pay me somehow.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I would have did that. I'd have definitely paid you for a couple of tests. I mean, if I needed it.
Right.
So you had a love for science early.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's what's up. That's what's up. So how did that love for science turn into you wanted to learn about pharmaceuticals?
Well, actually, when I was in high school, my first job in the United States was at CVS.
Okay.
In high school, and so I just was really interested in the names of everything and how each name, as complicated as it sounds, was to help the body do something that's naturally supposed to do.
Yeah. So you got into pharmacy. I mean, pharmaceuticals now, I guess, is it's definitely a profitable industry, but it's one of those things that people kind of side eye right now. Like, have you when you were getting into it? Were you thinking about something like that as far as some of the controversies come from the pharmaceutical industry, especially while we're here now where we speak more about CBD and hemp and alternative medicines versus anything narcotic?
I actually support both sides.
Okay.
So as a pharmacist going through school, I was taught that big pharma is supposed to help your body do what it's supposed to do naturally, not for you to be dependent on. It's just a temporary solution.
Yeah.
So you're only supposed to be on the big pharma medications just for a short time, and then get your body right so you can get off of it. But that's not the way it's turning out to be now.
No, well, in a lot of it has to do with people. You will take advantage of something that's available to you. And we have a situation now where people are dependent on a lot of opioids in particular. We have that situation where people are falling into that kind of dependence. But there are alternative medicines, and you do speak about that as well.
I do.
Speak to us about, I guess, what led you from being straight on the pharmacy side to looking into alternative medicines such as CBD and hemp.
Well, I really started advocating for CBD, hemp, cannabis when I had a senior mom, auntie, sister, cousin, whatever you want to say. She was over 65. She came in the store and handed me a prescription for THC, and it said 1 to 30 THC for dementia. And my family has a history of dementia, Alzheimer's, and anyone that comes to me, I try to treat them like family. Mm-hmm. So I felt really, really bad that I couldn't help this person.
Yeah.
And then she got her son on the phone, who was in California at the time. This was probably like 2 years ago.
Okay.
So her son was on the phone, was like, oh, I really need to help her because this is the only thing that helps her stay independent, stay living alone. It helps her, be able to function without having to have any other assistance nearby. Mm. And so, I felt bad. I was like, I can't send her to, the corner and tell her to look for somebody or whatever.
You definitely can't tell them I need 1 to 30 THCs. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't go on the block and tell somebody that.
Right. So I just felt bad. So I started going down to the Capitol and trying to find out what's going on the legislative side.
Yeah.
and just learning more about what was going on and coming to listen to see what was going on. I try to and put my input and my what I felt passionate about at the time towards hemp and cannabis.
That's what's up, man. And I just thought about that. Even the prescription, the 1 to 30 THCs. I'm like, there's so much wrong with this whole story. You should be able to go and get this safely prescribed to you. You actually should be able to do it. I feel nationally, but it's not that way. In California is different, in Georgia
Right.
is way different. What's it like trying to educate people about CBD from your perspective? And CBD and hemp from your perspective here in Atlanta and here in Georgia, because we're still far away from a place where people would be
Right.
easy to consume and easy to even get access medically.
I mean, I'm really big on education because there are, professionals, health professionals that don't really know what's going on. You don't learn about this in pharmacy school or medical school or
Yeah.
nursing school. It's something that you have to self-educate until it becomes standard in the curriculum. So,
Yeah.
that's how I feel about it.
How far you? Well, I know Dr. Hodge. We had this conversation before about how far you think it is that we will actually have any kind of conversations about the use of THC, hemp, CBD, things like that when it comes to medicine actually be taught in schools. How long down the road do you feel we are from that point?
It's hard to tell. It really depends on, the federal level and legalization of cannabis and things like that. So, I mean, it could be 5 years, it could be 10 years. I
Yeah.
mean, it just it could be 2 years. You never know. It could be this year in November during the election. So you should vote. You should vote.
Hey, no lie, it really could be this year. I'm watching every single candidate say we're down for legalization at some point. Like they're trying to pull that vote easy. That
Right.
we actually could see that happen this year. What we did see happen though was you open your pharmacies. I've had a chance to actually see Total Food and Pharmacy, which is in the West End. It's an amazing store. It's huge.
Right.
Then you also have the store, the Peachtree Pharmacy on Peachtree Corners.
Right.
Speak to us about opening up your stores, in particular Total Food and Pharmacy, and what made you want to open it up in the West End?
When I first wanted to open my pharmacy, I actually did want to open in the West End first, but my husband was like, "Oh no, no, it's not safe for you to do that." I was like, "Okay," so I ended up opening in Peachtree Corners, which was close to the house, and then as I built and grew that store in 2014, I had a partner that helped me open the store in the West End, Total Food and Pharmacy, and so now I have the convenience store side and the pharmacy side.
Yeah.
Both sides are with partners, and so I kind of just do like the paperwork and background work and kind of marketing and stuff, and then they kind of do the day-to-day operations.
Yeah, well, Total Food and Pharmacy, the fact that it's in the West End is pretty dope to me because it's a you're catering to a audience of people who actually would have went to the corner to get their 1 to 30 THCs. You know what I'm saying? If they actually
Right.
did something, or if they were trying to look into hemp or CBD, they most likely would have went to a corner store, which I'm pretty sure they would have been able to get it from. Have you had a chance to actually speak to some people who came into the store and they were looking for, say, a product like something for pain relief or something like that, and you had a chance to actually speak to them about the benefits of some of the products that are available in your store CBD wise?
Yes, usually if a patient comes in the store, then they wherever I am, the staff will say, "Hey, you need to talk to her. She's the one that can answer all your questions." But in actuality, any of my pharmacists, I try to keep them educated on
Yeah.
what's going on, so any of them can actually speak on CBD, hemp, and THC.
All right. I had a chance to have King Adams on last week for the show. King Adams
Right.
with Relief. He brought on Big Gipp, who he's working with Gipp Goodies. They have an exclusive situation on the website where Gipp Goodie products are being sold.
Right.
But the key thing here is when we had the conversation, he mentioned how he met Gipp at Total Food and Pharmacy.
Right.
That he went down there, and just similar to the story you mentioned about if somebody comes in the store, they'll say you might want to speak to her. He wanted to speak about hemp, and they said, "Hey, you might want to speak to Dr. Hang."
Right.
So it seems to be like you are kind of like a dot connector, like you're a person somebody does need to go to.
Oh, yes. I love to network. I love to help people. That's who I am, like a healer and a helper. And, I'm a consultant. I had someone just come in the store and ask about starting their own line and doing like a health and wellness resort type thing. So we have yet to meet and talk about that. Also, I had the pleasure of meeting Chief Wolf.
Oh, yeah, Amir.
Amir.
Yeah.
And so we're working on some projects as well on as far as education goes.
Yeah.
Actually, kind of excited about
Yo,
that.
Amir's like a genius when it comes to the hemp. Like he knows,
Right.
like literally, he wrote a book,
Right.
like literally everything when it comes to hemp. So that's definitely a good person to partner up with.
Right.
But you have partnered up with it with a legend, with Gipp,
Right.
to help with his products. How did you connect with Gipp, and what do you actually do for Gipp Goodies and with Gipp Goodies?
I actually just help market him and help market the store. So it's kind of a collaboration that we're helping each other. I I met him at the state capitol advocating for cannabis.
Oh, Gipp.
Yes.
Yeah.
And ever since then, like I've run into him at different networking events, and then I just hit him up one day, post COVID, because I know he was trying to start his line. I was like, okay, well, I'm trying to build Total Food and Pharmacy, so why don't I try to reach out to him and see if we could do something together, so I can help launch his product as well as market the store.
What's it like working with Gipp? Like I've had Gipp on the show twice. He seems like an easygoing type of guy, but
He's
what's
so
it like
nice.
business wise?
I mean, he's yes to all kind of person. He says yes to everything.
Yep.
I haven't heard him say no except when I was negotiating rates and stuff for the Gipp Goodies.
Nah,
So-
shoddy.
So he's really humble, and he's been super nice and to me and my husband, the whole family and
Yeah.
stuff. So
So have any other artists try to approach you about starting up a line like how Gipp has? Because Gipp is a very popular person in the city. Like I'm pretty sure people have seen what's going on with him. Like has anybody
Right.
stepped to you about that?
I've had some people, like my peers in the pharmacy world, have asked me how can I do my own line, and I have connections that for anyone that actually wants to do their own line. I have one for Peachtree Pharmacy for the tincture and the oils, so that is something I could do.
Have you thought about coming up with your own product line? Being that you do have the experience and you clearly know how to market other brands. Like have we thought about having your own signature line that's actually stocked in your stores?
I mean, I have the oils, which is peach relief, to help, keep homeostasis. But I haven't expanded to other products. I am a compounding pharmacist. I don't know if you know what that is.
No, I do not know. No one knows in here what a compounding pharmacist is.
A compounding pharmacist, like the easiest way to explain to people is like, the people in the hospitals when they're making those bags of medicine,
Yeah.
and they're putting drugs inside some liquid. That's compounding.
Okay.
But you can do that with lollipops, gummy bears. There's a little fly.
Yeah.
You can make lotions and creams and capsules and anything. So you could take, like if say you had trouble swallowing because you're in stage 4 cancer, so I could make your medicine and have it where it'll be absorbed through your skin,
Oh.
or some other way. It's not just pills you have to take.
That's what's up, man. You like a jack of all trades here.
Oh no, I just like, I like to cook, so it's kind of like being a chef.
Well, we also know you have other loves, and one of the loves that we share is a love of sneakers.
Mm-hmm.
When did you fall in love with sneakers?
Oh gosh, I don't know. You can ask my husband.
You was almost telling me like he wins all the sneaker raffles.
He does. So he either gets my sneakers or my friend, the Devil's Den, they get my sneakers. So.
Do you have a favorite?
No.
You don't have a favorite, really?
I do like the Yeezys. They're the most comfortable.
I've never had a pair of Yeezys in my life. I don't,
So.
but also I'm on the Drake side. Like we actually had a doormat a little while ago that said take your Yeezys off before you walk in the door.
Really?
Yeah, we were anti Yeezys for a second.
But they're so comfortable.
Are they? I mean, I ain't gonna lie. Some of them look comfortable. Those slides he got right now. Those look like the most like uncomfortable situations ever.
Really, I don't like the slides, but I do like the Yeezys.
They like-
Some days I can stand 14 hours a day. So if you're walking around standing, you have to be comfortable.
Would you, being that you have, you've done everything from medicine, you've helped market other brands. Have you ever thought about actually designing your own shoe, like designing something for yourself?
I have, but I know there's a lot of work. Whenever you try to do something on your own, there's
Facts.
so much work and will that you have to have. So, I have like every 2 minutes I have a new idea. So I just try to go with what I feel more passionate about.
Yeah, I know COVID has halted a lot of people's progress, especially businesses, small businesses. How have you been able to survive or keep your head above water during COVID? And like, as far as from a small business perspective, like how are you be
I
able
mean,
to maintain?
you have to learn how to adapt and market yourself differently.
Yeah, of course.
With pharmacy being independent, we market more that we deliver. So a lot of our patients we still have retained, but we just go to their house versus them coming to the store so they can protect themselves.
When you first heard about the pandemic, like what was your first thoughts about it, being that you do have a medical background? Like I know we have a lot of people who still are on the fence even about wearing masks to this moment. Like
Right.
what was your first thoughts when you started when the news started trickling out?
I mean, I just like, I don't know what's going to happen. I didn't think it would last this long. I thought it was going to be like 1 or 2 months, but for it to still be continuing, it's kind of crazy.
Man, have you met our president?
No.
Have you seen the president? There's a reason why we're heading into month 10. There's a good reason for that. But when I first heard it, actually we were here. We were actually in the studio. Like we watched that happen week by week until they actually told us don't come outside.
Right.
Yeah, and it was the most bizarre thing because even now to this moment, going downtown and seeing how empty downtown is, it's like, was it Walking Dead? It's like watching The Walking Dead almost.
It's definitely harder for like introvert or extroverts to be stuck at home and not be able to go anywhere.
Oh,
But introverts, it's like, I'm at peace.
I felt the same way. Like I could actually dig, saying being alone or being in a secluded place for a little while. But I do understand what you're saying because you're watching people I feel who need a lot of attention use social media so wrong over the last 6 months. They could teach a class like what not to do and how not to embarrass yourself because you have nothing else to do. So but yeah, COVID took a toll on a lot of businesses and we're still watching it. We're still watching some of it unfold. We're not all the way out of it yet. I know Atlanta kind of wished it away, but we're not all the way out of it just yet.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, The Rock, his whole family has COVID. I mean, there's people that I know that I work out with that say, oh, that so-and-so's gym teacher has COVID. So it's just, stay away.
That was scary, man. Like I know somebody who had
Stay
COVID, but she didn't tell nobody. She just kind of got over it, and I felt even a type of way about that. Like, how are you not telling nobody? Like, how do you just get over it and not mention that? Oh yeah, I was in a room full of people.
Is she wearing a mask?
I couldn't tell you. Now you should really be over it. It was like 2 months ago, but at first I was almost like, a Rick and Morty feel. Like I don't know if I don't know how to feel about this. You should have said something. So, have you thought about developing any THC products?
I mean, I have thought about it, but we're in, like, it's hard for me to move forward with that since I'm a pharmacist and in CBD and pharmacy is still kind of in a gray area because of there's a drug called Epidiolex, which is a class 5 drug right now, and so for seizures, and it's all CBD. But
I didn't want to say it incorrectly.
Right.
That's the one that's CBD based.
Right.
Okay.
It's all CBD based. And it does have what they call a national drug code. So if it has a national drug code, then it kind of is contraindicated to have OTC or over-the-counter CBD products. So that's why it's kind of a gray area for pharmacies.
Yeah.
So that's why I have it under, when I sell it, it's under a different business entity and not under the pharmacy.
Man, it's the way they make y'all do business out here is so confusing. Like it drive you crazy. Like from state to state, city to city, county to county, everybody has a different way of how they handle this, and it's almost like I say, it's almost like pulling teeth. Like how do you even deal with that on a regular?
I mean, I just follow the federal government. There's people, I won't mess with the IRS. I won't mess with the DEA. I just follow, the CDC, any government related thing. I just try to stay away from that. Pay my taxes and they'll leave you alone.
You definitely don't. I remember being at the store with Nicole, and I noticed the sign that had what it said, no smoking, and it says specifically weed, like no smoking inside.
Oh, it doesn't say weed. It's just a picture of a cannabis leaf. It doesn't say weed. Because it's sad to say, though, in the West End, there are people out there that can't read. And so they go in, all the signs I have to make, I have to put illustrations on them so that people can understand.
There's also people who have no restraint. Like I've been in areas in Atlanta where you'll have somebody walk in with a blunt in their ear that they just put out.
Right.
So there's no restraint as well is the literacy problem we do have.
Right.
Do you see yourself expanding out with more stores, or do you see yourself picking up more stores, not just in Georgia, but just maybe even expanding outside of the state?
I mean, I'm not sure what path I'm going to follow next. I mean, I have a lot of projects and ideas that I want to pursue. So wherever God takes me is where I'm going to go next. You know, I really am excited about what Amir and I are working on. So
What is that? Can you speak about it?
I don't know if I can speak about it, but it has to do with education,
Okay.
cannabis, and veterans, and vertically integrated business.
Okay.
Is that enough?
That's enough, because it even brought me to another subject, because we can go back to education all day. The lack of like, say right now, how you could walk into a gas station and get a pack of CBD, which you think is CBD. Like, we're in a place we're in that gray area at this moment.
Right.
Like, how do we counteract some of the miseducation that we do see about CBD and about hemp, especially in the city of Atlanta, where there is a kind of a blasé attitude when it comes to stuff like that.
I mean, I feel like, so pharmacists are like one of the number one trusted health professionals. So I try to make sure my pharmacists are trained and educated, but there are a lot of other pharmacists that are not educated.
Yeah.
They do have some courses out there that you can take for free or pay for, but I still don't feel like they're actually detailed enough for medical professionals. I think
like
there's still a lot of work to be done.
I feel like, is that something you and Amir are trying to work on, trying to get some educational products like that out to the masses, or is it something different?
It's kind of like a university type setting is what we're looking at.
Because it's definitely...
Well, that's what we've been discussing. I'm not really sure. Yeah. He has his visions, and then I have my vision, so we're just trying to collaborate and make it work.
Yeah, well, I think the educational part is definitely needed. Again, we have people who definitely do need these products, who definitely do need some kind of pain relief, but what they're dealing with right now is they don't know where to go, what to do, or what this actually does to them. There's still people who don't really know the difference between, like, full spectrum and isolate.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we're
spectrum.
yeah.
Right. I mean, the other thing that we're focusing on is to provide more jobs for veterans, because there's a lot of veterans that they come out of the military, and what happened to them? They become homeless most of the time.
Yeah.
They suffer from PTSD. So we want to create an avenue that will help them transition from the military lifestyle into the real world.
Yeah, well, yeah, and they also end up getting wrapped up in a life of opioids as well. That's another thing that
Right.
you end up getting caught on that treadmill of opioid abuse that a lot of people have fallen into. Mm-hmm. So, what do you see as next for you?
Right now, I'm just trying to maintain through the pandemic.
Like so many of us are.
Right. Yeah. It's been tough. It's not easy. Mm-hmm. So, but nothing worth having is easy.
No, I totally can get what you're saying, because even me as a small business person, I've had so many ups and downs over these last 3 months. It's not funny, and every bit of it is tied into, from like the instance with the mail, like me trying to mail you a simple shirt,
right?
That's across town.
15 weeks.
Yeah,
15 days.
I mean, there's no exaggeration from this. I remember dropping it in the post office, and for you to keep asking me when's it coming, I'm like, this goes across this should have been there like you should have got it the very next day, actually.
Right.
So I'm dealing with stuff like that. We have instability in the post office. You have people.
I think that's related to government corruption and voting, ballot BS. So I don't know.
And we're stuck in the middle of it. To go to the post office and see, not only did they remove machines, they remove people. Like, the line was so long, and just one person having to deal with all these packages and questions was just is absurd. Like, I'm thinking about even going this November, how that's affecting how I'm going to vote. Like, how COVID's happened over this year, and how has it actually affected your business? Has that actually leaned any way towards what you thinking about voting in November?
I mean, I'm still going to vote and go out and vote, but as far as COVID affecting it, I mean, I can't really say. We'll see what happens on poll day, and, during the ballots. I mean, I know there's a lot of discussion and argument about absentee ballots to protect the seniors, so we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, I knew the minute I walked out that post office after remailing packages and dealing with yours, I knew exactly what I was not going to do. You know, I was like, there's no
Right.
way this man can still be in office. There's no way you walk into the post office. There's no way
Right.
you're a small business owner and you're dealing with mailing something. That should have been the deal breaker for y'all right there alone. It was for me. I mean, not like I was on the fence, but that was the absolute for me. Like, there's no way this not doesn't happen. So when we look up in next year this time, and I know again it's kind of hard to forecast, but where do you feel like we're going to see Total Food and Pharmacy? Where we're going to see Peachtree Pharmacy? Like, what's your expansion plans?
I mean, I'm probably going to expand more into the cannabis space and leave the pharmacy.
Ooh.
The pharmacy will be there.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try to focus on, growing the cannabis industry in Atlanta.
Okay, I was going to say, does that mean we're going to see you relocating? Like, are you going to leave us?
No, I can't relocate.
You know, I didn't even ask you. Normally I ask people about when they found THC, but I never asked you if have you ever consumed? Like, is that ever something you've ever had a chance to do?
I will publicly say that you can support cannabis without being a cannabis user. And that's it.
You can. I like that. I like your stance. And you actually can. And you actually can. The show is built for that. Like, I want people who don't smoke to be able to kick it and watch this show. So
Right.
I appreciate that stance. But that would be a dope transition for you, you know what I mean, to be able to move into the THC space. Hopefully we'll be here in the
I do
state.
use CBD, like especially before I speak before a large crowd. So I do consume CBD.
Oh, I never told you that. The weed, the weed. Oh my gosh, the CBD plant that you gave me. You gave me some hemp, some bud from Atlantic
Atlantic Hemp
Company. Not only did that it helped me one day when I actually couldn't smoke weed. Like, I actually got sick around this time, around when COVID first started, and I couldn't taste anything.
Oh,
Like
so you had COVID.
I swear, I don't like calling it. I never will call it. I won't own it. But I just know it was the worst week of my whole entire life. And it capped off with Nicole calling me and saying, "Oh, and they canceled South by Southwest."
Oh,
and I was like, "Well, shit, just turn off everything right now. Like, we done for the year, as far as I'm concerned." But I couldn't taste anything. I remember they did say that was a part of it. But it kept making the weed taste like dirt. It made the chocolate taste even more like chocolate. I was spitting stuff out for days. And what I could do was smoke that for some reason. Like, that was giving me the same kind of a slight feel of weed, but it wasn't making me feeling super high. But it also gave me a feel that I was comfortable with, because I definitely could not smoke. It was pointless for like a whole week.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I mean,
you.
that's the favorite that we have is the Woo.
Yeah.
It's not high CBD. I think it's like 15-17%, but it helps a lot of people, function. A lot of my cancer patients really like using it, just because they don't want to. That's how they're surviving through chemo. So
You're doing a lot, man, to definitely help people learn more about CBD and give access to different alternative products, as well as allowing them to still continue on with what they actually do know. For those who want to learn more about you or want to see if they could contact you to learn more about what they can do as far as with alternative medicines, how can they contact you?
right now, my biggest social media feed is Instagram, which is Dr. April Hang, APRIL HANG. And whoever reaches out to me, I usually respond to them.
That's what's up. Well, I thank you very much for coming through the show tonight and chopping it up with us. I can't wait to doing some more with you. Hopefully we could do a show down at Total Food and Pharmacies. You have plenty of space.
Anytime. I mean, we're subleasing to different vendors. We have a tattoo guy.
You have a tattoo guy?
Yeah, he's renting space. Cannabis Fairy.
Bro, you gotta love the West End. Like, you can get almost anything.
Creations. She makes jewelry and donates a lot of stuff to send back to Africa and her family and stuff. So.
Great. Well, everybody, please, if you are in Atlanta, please take a stop by the West End and stop by Total Food and Pharmacy. If you're in Peachtree Corner, stop by Peachtree Pharmacy. And definitely make sure you follow Dr. Hang and learn everything that you can from her. She definitely is a wealth of knowledge and expertise when it comes to these alternative medicines and actually what you should use and how to use it properly. Thank you for coming through the show. We're going to get into more sneakers talk eventually, too. I saw you the way you dived in that book.
Oh, yeah. I saw it earlier. I was like, grab that book.
I appreciate you coming through tonight. And that's Cash Color Cannabis, a high level of conversation on livehip-hopdaily.tv.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.